So if you're joining, say hello if you want, and if you don't want, then that's okay too. If no one's here, then I'm just going to yap on about some stuff. It's our role. So we're going to analyze stars and the moon. All these Anna. Who's Anna? Who's Anna? Anna is my ex-landlord or agent who's asking for like $2,000 for some bond. But that's not really the point, is it? So if you just joined, hello. I'm talking to myself, which is quite common. And we're looking at stars and the moon from Songs from a New World. So I hope you're well. And get ready for some exciting times. All right, stop delaying. You should just go, Daniela. So, Stars and the Moon. It is from a musical, Songs for a New World. It is in the key of G major, which I always thought it was in the key of D major, but nope, that just shows that the whole thing is in a mode. So we tell the key signature A by the number of sharps, but also you can take the last remaining sharp and raise that by a semitone. So right now it's a bit scary probably because they're both bass clefs. But the bass clef, these two dots are around this line here, and that line is an F. Okay, so and it's an F, and then there's an F sharp. So there's a sharp on the F. So instead of playing a regular F, you're gonna play an F sharp. Okay, so the key of G major. Now remember, major scale, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So start with G. So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. The first four notes of the G major scale are the last four notes of the C major scale. And so they do relate. They're a fifth apart. C is a fifth apart from G, and is one notch to the right on the circle of fifths. And when you move one notch to the right, you add one sharp. And when you move two notches, you add two sharps, three notches, three sharps, etc. And the whole idea there is that it's like a clock. So there's 12 points on the circle of fifths. So you just kind of keep following it along. Okay. So if you know your C major, you should be able to draw out the whole of the circle of fifths. I believe anyway. Alrighty, friends. So let's get rid of that nonsense. We're in the key of G major. All my Fs are sharpened. Okay, that's really important. So when I refer to an F, I will call it an F sharp. And the time signature is 4/4. So the second 4 being attributed to the type of note, which is a quarter note. And the first 4, the top 4, is attributed to the amount or how many. So 4 quarter notes in a bar. A quarter note is also a crotchet. So it is 4 crotchets within a bar. Okay. And then I can just look at this first bar. I can clearly see that there's a semibreve. A semibreve lasts for 4 beats. And then there's a second voicing, which there's a crotchet rest. There is this confusing thing. Firstly, there's a minim, there's a dotted minim, which lasts for 3 beats, and then there's a crotchet here, which lasts for 4 beats. So it's a bit confusing. Hello, Audible. A little bit confusing, but there's actually 3 voices in this stave, or in this bar in particular. So you've got the held note, the D, it's a D, and then this other held note, A, and then you would play D up an octave whilst also holding those notes. Doom, doom, dum. So 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Now what's interesting, if we look at the actual tempo marking, it says minim equals 60. Most commonly you'll see crotchet equals etc. etc. No, X. You won't see, you won't always see the minim equaling a particular value. But what this means is that the feel or the style or the rhythm, we feel it in 2 instead of 4. So the bars are going to move quite quickly because crotchet equals 60 is akin to the seconds moving on a watch because it's 60 beats per minute. That's how we work it out, 60 beats per minute. Whereas this is saying that there's going to be 60 minims per minute, if I've done that right. which is going to be half of that. Okay, so if you want to do the math, it's like 1 beat every 4 seconds or something like that. It's terrible, Danielle. But the crotchet value would actually equal 120. So what I can do is I can open up the metronome on this lovely, wonderful app, and I can go 120 because it's going to be double. Tick, 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 toot-ta-tum. Bo-do-da-dee-da-dee-da-poo-ta-tum. But actually, the feel that we want to go for is minim equals 60. Ting, ting, po-da-dum. Where, in reality, this song has actually been taking a lot. It's been, every time it's performed, it's probably taken a bit faster and faster and faster. And I would say that it's more akin to rather than, maybe there's some people out there who still perform it at that tempo, but it's sort of been taken faster and faster. Cool. All right. So let's look at some of these rhythms in this bar. So first thing to note is that the dynamic is mezzo piano. So that's just louder than piano and just softer than mezzo forte. Loud. And it's not super soft, but still considerably soft. The style is folk rock, gentle. So that just gives you an indication of like, hey, we're going to be gentle about it. And it has a bit of a folky feel. The chords here are interesting. So we move from D to C2. I sort of think of this song, I guess, more or less in a mode. And the mode's going to be D Mixolydian, as we did modes on Monday. So the key is G. But the first chord starts on D. Starts on the 5th. So it's quite common for folk music to be more based around particular modes, especially Dorian and Mixolydian. So you get this 1. If we looked at it in a sort of parallel sense in the key of D, it's 1 and then flat 7. 1, flat 7. And that creates that sort of folk feel. Yeah? Sir. Cool. All right. Coffee time. Let's look at this rhythm, shall we? So what I like to do is let's just ignore the slurs for now and work out our rhythm. So what I'll do is usually I'll sort of block off all the notes that I possibly can. So I've got a crotchet here and a dot. No, this is going bad. So the first note is a dotted crotchet, which means it lasts for 3 quavers. So 1 and 2. Okay, so the 2 is a quaver. And then this guy is a quaver, which is the and, tied to a quaver, which is the 3. And then we have the and of 3 being played here, and then a rest, which I'll put in brackets, and then the and of 4 being played and tied over to the next bar. So this 1 and 2 1 and 2 is one note, and then we play the and of 2. We play 1, and of 2, and of 3, and of 4. So it's quite syncopated. So if I broke that down, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and. Ding, ding. 1, and. So it's 1, 2, and. Sorry. 1, 2, and. Yeah? So we're actually playing the syncopated notes there. So 1, and. Ting, chicka, ting, chicka, 1, and. Let's work out these notes. What happened there? No idea. So it's nice if you can just work out the bars like that. Sometimes it's easy to see where the strong beats are, and therefore you can play around them or easily break down the bar in that way. We've got an F sharp, and then we've got this note above the ledger note, okay, which is a D. All right. So remember, good boys deserve fruit always for the lines in bass clef. Excuse me. Good boys deserve fruit always for the lines in bass clef. So that means that the 4th line is an F, for fruit. And then what we need to do to actually work out the notes continued, we go A, B, C, D. Okay, A, B, C, D. We just go up the sequence. So please shout out if you have any questions. If you want me to go further into something and you're watching this later, feel free to shoot me through a message. So I go F sharp D, and then I can see that this next note is just one note higher than the F sharp. All cows eat grass, so the fourth space is a G. And then the next one, all cows eat, the next one's an E. But all the while, I'm pedaling this D note, okay? So the D note is being pedaled or repeated, or it's an idea that's recurring throughout this whole passage. It's not really changing. So I can look at that from a sight reading perspective and can see that the D is repeated, and then there's just this inner voicing of the F sharp, G, E that's actually moving. And then we've got this left hand, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. 1, 2, and 4, and. 1, 2, and 4, and. Yeah, does that make sense? 1, 2, and then we get this guy. Already I'm getting a bit of an indication of what the note is by the chord symbol C2. C2 effectively means it's a C major chord with a 2 scale degree, which is a D in this context. Well, in any context with a C major. Sometimes it can mean don't play the third, but it should say sus2 for that context. And sometimes it says add 9. Depends. These days it should say something like add 9. So we get C, which is the 2 ledger notes below the bass clef, C. A fifth for G. And then a D, Good Boys Deserve. That's the D. And then we're still in bass clef, so the right hand, all cows eat grass, good boys deserve fruit always, and then we're back to that D that we played previously. And they're all quavers, so it's going to go, if you think about the bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. They're the quavers, they're the subdivisions. And 2 and 3 and 4 and. Boo-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba. Ba-doo-ba-boo-ba-doo-ba. Boo-da-boo-da-doo-da. And of course there's an extra G in the left hand on a crotchet on beat 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Boo-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-da. And for playing those things at home, at home or whatever at the same time, sometimes it helps to actually tap something. So tap the left hand. You can tap on a table or something and break it down that way. Because I understand a lot of people have been talking to me about playing hands simultaneously. You know what I mean? And it can be difficult. Okay. So this next few bars are repeated. So we've already worked it out, yeah? So ding, ting, 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 ta pa 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 pa, ping, 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 pa 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 pa, pam, 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 pa 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 pa, pam, 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 pa 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 pa. And we're done, yeah? Don't think there's anything else to analyze on this particular page. And then we've got this beautiful quaver accompaniment. The chords, again, don't move too much. We've got a D2, which implies that there's a second scale degree in the D chord, which is an E. That's the second scale degree of D. So E, it's a tone away. They've got this interesting next chord, 2 bars later, B minor over E, which is very uncommon. I get it, but there's probably a different way of... It's more like an E minor 11, but whatever. So there's your E minor 11. An 11 chord has the flattened 7, and it also has the 9, and it has the 11. So do we have the 11? No, we don't. Some people say 11, but they mean something else. It'll say 11, but it'll actually want you to just play an E9. One of those weird things. Chord symbols in sort of jazz, funk, pop sometimes don't exactly mean what they actually say, which gets a bit confusing. And then a G over C, that's a G chord. Super simple G chord. I'm going to play it in first inversion over C. back to D. Yeah, so D, T, 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 B minor over E, T, ticka ting, ticka ting, ticka G over C, ticka ting, ticka ting, ticka ting, ticka D, ticka C2, ticka 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 ting, ticka ticka, and then it just goes again, yeah? But let's look a little bit deeper at the actual accompaniment. There's a nice arpeggiating of the chord, which gives it its folk feel, kind of gives that sort of a la guitar sort of thing that's going on. It kind of gives it that sort of sense that it's being played by a guitar. So, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Yeah. Da di dum ba boo doo day ba doo da di dum ba boo doo day ba doo da day ba doo day ba doo day doo day da dum to pum 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 ba doo da. Yeah. So nice syncopation, and then the melody 1 2 I met a man. Sorry. 1 2 I met a man without a dollar to his name who had no. Now, most people do relax this rhythm quite a bit. They don't really do what's actually written here. But I find that we want to sort of capture the general feeling of this rhythm anyway. So, boom, I met a man without a dollar to his name who had no traits of any value but his smile. So what you're looking for is the strong beats. Dollar to, this one's tricky because it's all syncopated. Traits, any, smile, yeah? And then you're beating it in 2. Pum, 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 rather than pum, 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 pum. I met a man without a dollar to his name. We don't get the sort of the actual arc of the phrase. So boom, I met a man without a dollar to his name who had no traits of any value but his smile. Yeah, but his smile. That should hopefully guide you through there. And then let's look at the next one. I met a man who had no yearn or claim to fame. These crotchets are interesting. 1, who. Yeah, so it's actually emphasized or accented. So in speech it would be like, I met a man who had no yearn or claim to fame, who was this, who was this, who was this. So there's a bit of emphasis on it. Not super duper emphasis, not like if it's on the end of 1, but having it on beat 2 gives it this sense that it's preceding beat 3, so it makes it you feel like you're accenting or anticipating the word. Excuse me. Content to let him pass him for a while. Boom! I met a man who had no yearn or claim to fame, who was content to let life pass him for a while. Yeah, boom. Met who yearn, claim, who tent him while. So I'm kind of like going, where are my crotchets? I'm interested in where my crotchets are. Where are my crotchets? Someone tell me where my crotchets are. Please tell me. All right, good. That was not weird. I always forget how silent it is on these videos. Then we get a chordal change, right? We've got B minor 7. B minor 7 is just a B, D, F sharp, A. Very straightforward. D2 over A is that D2 chord, which is a D major with a 2, which is an E over an A. Yeah. And then we've got this nice syncopated rhythm. Pum, 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 pum. Tim, 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 tim. So 1, 2, and 4, and 3, 4. Yeah, except without that last 4. So 1, 2, and 4, and 3, and 1. So we can break that down. We can go crotchet. Okay, so crotchet is 1 and 2. The dotted crotchet is 1 and 2. And then we've got the and of 2 tied over to a crotchet, which is 3 and then that hits 4, 3. So 1, 2, and 4. Yeah. You get used to rhythms like this. They're quite common these days. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you belong to that. Sorry, I shouldn't brackets because that implies a rest. But we're going to tie this over. We're going to play that. We're going to play this. And we're going to play this. So 1, 2 and 4 and 3 and. Let's try that again. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and. No, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 4 and 3 and. And then we get the notes. We get 2, 3 and 4 and 3 and. That's what we get there. Yeah. And then the chords, it says G2. It's more or less like a kind of G2 without much of a loud banging. What is going on in this house? So we got this nice sort of suspended chord business happening. Like there's not a lot of B in there, in the G chord. So over G, over F sharp, over E, D, over C. So basically the right hand's just doing that G and A. Ping, 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 ping. Yeah, but then we fill it in with a bit more accompaniment. Da-ba do, ba-ba do, be-ba do, ba-ba do, be-ba do. Yeah, just make it a bit more interesting. And then the melody's going life like the movie stars led. Ting, 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 ting. I think that rhythm is called hemiola, but yeah, very common. The melody. 1, 2, and 4, 1 and 4, 1. And then we got this beautiful chord. JB, I think, went through a stage where he just loved these sorts of dissonant flat 5 sort of business. Sharp 5 rather. It depends how you're looking at it. So it has this like Lydian-ish kind of feel. Yeah. P pa 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 pa. So it even shows that the left hand crosses over. And then it ends with this sort of like more G major 7 kind of feel to it at the end. On that last chord, on the and of 4. But otherwise, it's, it says D sus +3. Sort of the symbol itself is not super accurate. It's like it's sort of an altered D chord, I would say, without much of a dominant happening. So it's a bit confusing. It's more of an idea. It's an effect, right? Than a sort of a plain chord. But then I guess at the end, we get this G major 7 chord with a B flat in the bass. It's pretty cool. Very cool. All right, let me get rid of those notes so when I go to play the song, I don't see that. I know we kind of skipped over this other bit, but boom. But I was sure that all I ever wanted was a life like the movie stars led. Yeah. So again, I was sure that all I ever wanted. So they're all in the beat. And then the accompaniment, we get Bodo ding ba 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 pa bi bun di bodo ding bodo ding ba da ba ti ba do pe ba do pe ba dum pe ba do pe ba do do. We get we wait for this is color voce, okay? So it means color being glue, voce being voice. So it's like glue to the voice. You wait for the voice, depending on the context. But I need to wait. There's a fermata here, which is this upside down half circle thing with a dot, which is effectively means pause, but actually translates to stop. But it's a pause. It's like you're holding the moment, right? It's like a hold. I like to think of it as hold rather than a stop. I think a stop is more like a caesura, where it's like, phew, everyone stop what you're doing. So you get this last chord. And he chord here, and he chord. It's quite an awkward shape that chord is. So D, that's just a bit of a D with a sort of Lydian business. Well, not quite Lydian, but it sort of feels like a G chord without a G bass, but then we get more of the G in the next part, which helps us move to D. Okay. Even though I'm aware it says D sus plus 3 over A, it's just like, it's not really over A because it's such a treble chord. There's not really a bass note. There's something else being implied without actually being implied, without it actually saying what it is. So I'd wait for the vocalist. Kissed me right here, and he said. Always look out for grammar, okay? Kissed me right here, and he said. Right? Not kiss me right here, and he said. There's a minimal difference, but if you can really acknowledge the grammar, definitely more interesting things happen. Kiss me right here, and he said, colon. Let me tell you what he said. I'll give you stars and the moon and a soul to guide you, and a promise I'll never go. I'll give you hope to bring out all the life inside you, and a strength that'll help you grow. I'll give you truth and a future that's 20 times better than any Hollywood plot. That rhythm comes back again. Die, 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 die. It's a bit different on the second bar, but that's all right. And then the chordal movement as well. Tapa to papa to papa to papa to ping, prum. This 8VA, Ossia something or other, it does mean play that an octave higher, so I wouldn't play it in its written register. I'd play it one octave high. Booty pum. And it wants an accent on the D. 1, 2, booty pum. I think you just naturally accent that anyway. The accompaniment here is quite tricky. I'll give you stoon deep 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 deep. Sorry. Yeah, just making up sound effects. That one sounded really sus too. So we get this 3-celled phrase. So then the accent ends up getting shifted because it's a 3-cell phrase. It's not even. So by the time it gets to the third bar, it's uneven. Whilst the left hand is continuing to do 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, ting, ting, ting. Can't. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And eventually it lines back up here at bar 43. Because so many threes will eventually, over 6 bars, has gotten us back to the beginning of the pattern at the beginning of bar 43. Cool. All right. Well, we might leave it there. I'll just play you some of this so far. Just give me an indication. Hope you got something out of this. And as always, please like and subscribe and let me know what you'd like to learn more about in future classes. And if you're vibing what I'm doing, please let me know. It does make a difference. Otherwise, I feel like I am putting things out into the void, which I know is sometimes just a part of life. You just got to accept it. So we'll see what happens.